Hi, everyone. Glad to be streaming tonight and being able to come together to share some great things that we've been planning for quite a while, and to also have our friend from Pyware, Dustin, with us tonight to introduce the version 10 of Pyware. Again, we're happy to be here and get more in depth in all of these new features. My name is Eddie Lopez. I'm a co-owner of Ultimate Drill Book and also owner of Perform America here in Texas. And we'd like to go ahead and round the room here and kind of introduce the rest of everyone here. So, Josh, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, good to see everyone again. Thanks for being here with us. My name's Josh Gall, and I'm one of the co-founders of Ultimate Drill Book. And we're excited to share lots about Pyware version 10. Excited to highlight the one and only Dustin from Pyware, who you all know and love, and spend the time with you guys talking a little bit about UDBapp Pro.
And hey everybody, I'm Luke. I'm also a co-founder of Ultimate Drill Book. Really excited to be here. But really, I just want to go ahead and pass it off to Dustin. Love to hear a little bit about you before we jump into some Pyware stuff.
Yeah, I'm Dustin Merrill, Application System Director of Pyware. If you don't know me, please message me and we can solve any problems you have.
So, yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, Dustin is the man. We just put his name and his email up here. He's one of the most helpful people in the world. So if you're learning Pyware or you've been working with Pyware for years, Dustin is the man to call with any of your questions. He bends over backwards every single day, not only for us, but for the rest of the marching community. So we really mean that. So really happy to have you here, Dustin.
Well, thank you, guys. Thanks for having this stream. It's great.
Yeah, well, without further ado, why don't we go into what we're here. Dustin, why don't you go ahead and talk to us a little bit about version 10.
Sure. Some of the features in version 10 I'd like to highlight. One of them is our new Pyware Portal. It's the new basis for our entire licensing system as well as file sharing system. So what you're able to do once you purchase the version 10, you're able to register and then log in. Actually, let's log into my support account. And this account is going to allow you to manage everything about your Pyware license. You'll be on your dashboard. You can come and adjust your user settings for your user. You also have access to any accounts that you're a part of. So I'm a part of my Dustin account, and you'll see that I have my 3D Professional. If you click here, it's going to give you access to your license. So you'll see your serial number listed here. You're going to see the number of seats you have available, what edition, what version you're licensed to. You'll also have download installers for the version that is currently available. You are then able to see all users that have access to your account that have it running currently. And this is where you can actually come and turn off licenses if you need to remove it from a computer. You can actually go through and add additional users in the Manage section. You have a Management tab for address information for billing and shipping. All of this information is available here. Gives you the space that you have available for your online storage. In the Users section, this gives you the ability to add and remove users. You have two different roles on your account. You have an administrator user and an authorized user. Administrator role gives you the ability to add additional users to the account. An authorized role will only give you access to a particular license on that account. And to add a user, you simply come, select add, enter the user information here, select either authorized or administrator, and then select the license that you'd like to add it to. Now, you can have multiple licenses on your account. So if you have a lab license and a standard license, you would be able to add users to each one independently.
So Dustin, I imagine this is a good scenario, a good place for, if teachers want to get maybe some of their students involved in drill writing, being able to add accounts and things like that. Is that a potential idea here?
Correct. So at this point, I have a pro lab that has 10 licenses. So at this point, I can come in and add additional students here that would have access to the license. Once you add the user here, it's going to send an email to the user's email address. It's going to give them instructions on how to create a Pyware Portal account. Once that happens, then they will see this information here. being a authorized user, they will not have a manage section except for this information. They will not have a users management section. They would then have the 3D Professional page, and they would be able to download the installer here.
Got it. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, it's really easy, I guess, to get some people involved. And, maybe this is one of those things that you'll mention at some point tonight. I know there are some materials maybe that you guys are working on to help some people, at this time. So this seems like a really great way to kind of kickstart that.
Exactly. Yes, we're working on some curriculum for high schools. So we will have more information about that in the coming weeks. If you're interested, just please reach out to me, Dustin@pyware.com, or to Amanda@pyware.com, and we can get you information for that when it comes up. If I'm an authorized user and I actually no longer have access to my computer, you can actually remove your own computer. Only administrators can remove anybody from the account, but you as an authorized user, you can actually remove your own computer from that account as well. We also have access to the groups section. This allows you to create groups, and what this does is it gives you the ability to upload files. It also gives you the ability to add announcements to this group. So anything that you'd like to be pushed out to the users, you're able to do this through the announcements section here. Let's say Zoom meeting on Friday. Okay, post the announcement. It is then sent to the users on this account. You're also able to upload files here. This gives you the ability to upload PDF files, 3D files, mobile files, as well as UDB files if you needed to transfer those to someone else.
That's cool.
So, all right.
And Dustin, quick question actually about that, sort of related to the managing of licenses. For anybody who's a college band director right now who use the sort of the college accounts and the college access that students have in marching band techniques classes, do they also manage those licenses through here, or is that a separate system?
At that point in time, if they have a lab license, they would then be able to manage that lab license through this system. If you're going to be doing the college subscription, each college subscription is going to have their own independent account. So the student would then have their own, they'd be the administrator on their own account.
Got it. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know about that, if you teach any kind of marching band methods course, Pyware has this incredible package where maybe, Dustin, you could talk briefly about what it is, but it gives students access to a limited license for Pyware that gets their feet wet in a really incredible way and allows them to learn about how Pyware works and all of those kinds of things for some of their training. So, Dustin, maybe you could just share a little bit about that.
Right. The college subscription service is basically if the school owns a copy of Pyware, that makes them eligible to register their college marching band techniques course for the service. It gives the ability for the students to purchase a $75 subscription. It's a 6-month license for the professional for a single user. And that gives them the ability to use the software on any computer that has access to the version 10 client. Whether they needed to use it on their personal system or if they needed to use it on a remote system, they're able to do that.
Yeah, yeah. So, for those of you who haven't looked into that before, definitely check it out. If you teach a marching band methods class, it's a fantastic resource for your students.
Great. So this is the Pyware Portal in a nutshell. This gives you the ability to really share files with your either your group or other directors. If you're a marching band techniques course, if your students have the college subscription, you can actually add them to a group. So what that will do, you'll have a marching band techniques course group, and then you can communicate the lessons through that. Whether if you need to upload a PDF file for a lesson that you wanted to create or send announcements, you're able to do that as well. And so that's a nice roundup for the Pyware Portal here. Let's jump over into the version 10 and take a look at some of the new features that we have here. So
yeah, I'm excited about these.
Thanks, guys. In the version 10, one of the newest features that we've added was the sketch tool. This is a very powerful tool. It gives you the ability to create forms, create shapes, create anything that you want without using performers. So I can come in, select my sketch mode in the top right here. Okay, and that will turn sketch mode on. If you notice that you have your tools now having a sketch compass icon on them, that indicates that they are in sketch mode. So when you're drawing here, it's actually going to be drawing with sketch points. So think of these as waypoints for this particular form. Okay, so once I accept this form, it's going to add these performers as sketch points themselves. As you can see, there are going to be red squares. They will only appear on the count that you've actually written that on. So think of it as a tracing paper. You're able to create forms on any count and write to those. Okay, and what you're able to do is once you have a sketch, you can actually take any number of performers. Let's just add a few more performers here. And as you can see, I've got more performers than I do have sketch points here. So if I select this, I'm going to select my sketch tool. This is going to apply it. And what it's going to do is it's going to evenly space the performers over this entire form. Okay? And everywhere a sketch handle is, you're going to have an actual editing handle for this form. So you can actually come in and tweak this. Say I wanted to apply this over here. Now, as you can see, all my performers are evenly spaced. I do have an option here to sketch points to places. What that's going to do is only going to add the number of performers equal to the number of sketch points that I have here. This is very beneficial when you're using block or filled forms because you're able to create sketches of those and apply them later. So I'm going to turn this off temporarily just to apply all performers here.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, and where do the sketches get saved? You know, so if I want to create a little bit, you know, a few sketches, how does that work?
Okay, so by default, when you just design on the page, it's actually saved in the drill file itself.
Oh, cool.
You can also create a sketch library in the sketch library tool here. Okay, so when you pull that up, it's going to ask you to load up one, or you can create a new sketch library file. Okay, so if I do sketch library, okay, let's do test and test. All right, so I now have my new test sketch library open. Okay, so what I can do is I can come into sketch mode, I draw a new form. Let's just draw a simple circle here. Accept it. Oh, and sketch mode. Let's delete that. Okay, sketch mode, circle. I have my sketched circle. I can then come into my sketch manager and I can add that. I'm going to select this. I'm going to add it to my library. And I can say a page title for this. I'm going to say circle. You can give it any type of description. And what you're going to see here is you're going to see that title listed here.
Gotcha.
So I've got a couple of libraries already created here. So I'm going to select a blocks covered. Okay. Yes, I want to use this. So now, as you can see, I've got my blocks covered listed here, and I can actually toggle through these 24 pages. And these are all blocks that I have created in my sketch library. So what I can do is I can come in and select any of these and apply it. I'm going to choose to use this sketch at count 0. Okay? So now I have my sketch here. Now, a sketch can be edited just like any set of performers. So if I wanted to shift it around, I can do that to any point on the field. And then what I can do is I can come in and add, if I have multiple sketches on the page, I select the sketch I want to apply it to. As you can see here, I evenly space. I'm going to choose sketch points to places. Okay? So now, as you can see, it evenly applies the performers that I have to my block. As you can, I do not have enough performers to fill out this block, so you can actually see I'm going to have some performers not listed. If I accept that, it's now going to fill out that sketch as much as it can. So this gives you the ability to go through and create any common forms that you use, whether it be filled forms, wedges, blocks, windowed forms, or if you have school logos that you have traced, you can actually go through and load those school logos as sketches and then load them into the drill at any point in time and add the new number of users to it.
College bands rejoice.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I know this is a new addition, and this, just so our users are aware, this is just in Pyware version 10. Is that correct?
That is correct. The sketch tool is one of the headlining features for version 10.
Got it. And is that available regardless of which version you're on?
Yes, sir. It is available in all editions.
Boom. Right. All right. That's cool. So now I know that, again, this is new. Are you seeing some people like really adopting this thing and are seeing some really creative uses for it so far?
Really, it's kind of taken the users by storm that I've spoken to about it. It's changing their workflow entirely because now they can actually think more creatively and create those forms without it being locked to actually having specific performers in those places. So previously, when you wanted to do something like this, you could go and design on count 64 your hit set that you wanted. And then you'd have to write backwards and worry about the performers lining up in the correct location. Now you can go to that set, create the form that you're wanting, and then it gives you the ability to apply the performers at any matching that you desire on that page, because you're just applying it to the actual form that you created instead of locked positions.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's huge.
It definitely beats having to draw everything on a napkin or something than having to transfer it over.
Exactly. It becomes your napkin your napkin drawing. So
Right.
It's wonderful.
I've got my drill writing book right here, actually. This is where I sketch lots of forms and just try to figure it out. So I'm now going to turn this into Pyware.
Yeah, that's actually Pyware version 11.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
So
Just to remind people, I know that we're going through these features with Pyware, and if anybody have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat, and we'd be happy to answer that for you.
wonderful.
Yeah.
One last thing I'd like to touch on the sketch function is the ability to actually change an entire drill that you've created into a sketch. So let's say right now we don't know what we're doing because we really don't know what band's going to be this year. So let's say I have actually already created a show, okay? But it's with a set of performers that I don't know if I'm going to have. So what I can do is I can come into my sketch manager or sketch library, sketch manager here, create a new sketch library file and give it a name, say the Incredible Show. Okay, and I'm going to choose to import all pages and subsets to the sketch or as sketches to the new file. All right, so now I have my Incredibles file. Let's go to a new drill here. Right. Save over this. All right. All right, I've got my sketch manager, and now I have my Incredibles library here. So as you can see, I can come in and any page that I've created is now a sketch that I can apply. Okay, and that gives me the ability to rewrite that show easily for a new set of numbers.
Wow, yeah, that's huge, especially right now. I know drill writers all over the world are getting new numbers. If they're getting numbers at all, they're getting new numbers every day, right? And they're doing everything that they can to help their bands. And even directors who are taking up, this is the time where I'm gonna learn Pyware. But yeah, they're faced with those moments where like, well, yeah, I lost a tuba today, or yeah, someone moved in, or whatever the case is. So I can see that being huge right away, especially right now.
And the neat thing about it is you can actually take it and draw your entire show as sketches. Let's say you don't have any numbers at all, but I want to go ahead and jot down some new ideas. You can actually come in and create a new sketch file. Let's see here. Let's say I'm going to create a new sketch library. Let's say 2020 show. Okay, my new library here. I'm going to come in and I can open that, go to my sketches, do my 2020 show. And now I have my entire sketch library that I can create. Let's say I'm going to just start out with 20 pages here. Okay, what that's going to do is it's going to create a 20-page sketch file. And I can come in and then draw any of the forms that I want. So I'm going to go in and draw my ideas here. And at that point, they're saved in your sketch file. And then when you decide to start writing, when you actually have your performer numbers, you come in and you have your sketch library for that form. Right? And you have anything that you want to have on the field, you do. And as you can see, each of the forms have grouping lines here. This is how the form is actually going to be applied when you add performers to it. So if you wanted to have it meshed where you match every other performer and you want it to collapse down from an arc to a line, you can actually come in here and regroup those. And that's done with the knife glue tool, just as you would on any normal tool.
So just clear, you can regroup the sketch as if, okay, cool. That's super helpful.
What it's going to do is it's going to make it much easier for you to apply those performers in the order that you're anticipating.
Right.
And one quick thing, a question about this, as far as like if you wanted to share this, like, you know, if you send over the 3DZ file to another designer, those sketches transfer over with that 3DZ file. Is that correct?
If you have saved the sketches inside the drill file, yes. If you've created a sketch file like I have here, you'll have to send the sketch file. And that's available in your document file, your documents folder.
And is that, I think I saw, is that a .3ds file?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So you'll have it available in your documents folder. Let's pull that up here. Okay. I have my documents here. I can come into my sketches folder. And then you have all of these files here that you can send. They would just load them into their sketches folder. And then you would be able to open that in your sketch manager.
Well, whoever's watching, if you want to just write some really incredible drill and then send me the .3ds file, I'll appreciate that.
Well, this is great, along with what you talked about with the portal and then now the sketches. You know, there's so many schools that now have these big, huge design teams that they can now collaborate easily through the portal and through just designing sketches and saving this, and then you can go from there. So it's really cool features.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think a lot of design teams have done and still do, you know, they have a Google Doc, right? You know, it's just kind of like a brain dump of just ideas and sketches and even, you know, things that I've done before. And I know people do is they'll like share their like iPad screen, for example, and they'll just draw pictures, right? And you're brainstorming. The cool thing about this is that your brainstorming and your ideas then become a way to actually create those ideas, right? Because the hardest thing sometimes is taking this like random picture that you were inspired in drawing, and then suddenly it's like, I gotta like transfer it somehow. But if we can like start the inspiration process in Pyware, then the whole thing just becomes easier.
Right.
So this is, I think, going to transform not only just the drill writer, but I think it's going to transform the whole design team for marching bands.
Right.
Because now I think some people are probably who aren't drill writers, going to get in there and have some sketches and stuff like that too, you know, and they can share those sketch files with the drill writer. So I think this is opening up a whole new world. I know you know that, but it's cool to see in action.
It really is cool because I've talked to many designers and their biggest thing is designing on napkins. They'll be out having some drinks with some friends or anything, that something comes to them, they jot it down on the napkin and they put it in their pocket for later. Now those become sketches inside of Pyware that you can use in any drill realistically, not just the one that you're primarily working on. You actually build libraries that you can use for later down the road.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So
cool. Well, we know there's some other stuff that you wanted to show us, right?
Yes, I've got a couple more things I want to touch on real quick. We had a lot of questions about creating wedges and wedge type forms. You can do that in the filled shape tool, but it was a little more difficult to do. We've added the ability to use the Wedge Clone function. So I can actually clone a line, let's say 5 times. We have the radial clone, which is what is set by default. Then you have a linear clone. As you can see here, I can actually create any type of box now with my line. And then this box right here is going to be the drop-off amount. So let's say I want to have 9 rows, and I can drop off 1 or 2 at a time. As you can see here, now I'm going to have a wedge being formed.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And you can choose to drop off at any interval. This is actually available in all drawing tools. So that also includes any type of curves you want to create. I'm going to clone it 7 times linearly. Make it look like a waving flag. Okay, and then I can strip some of those off.
That's cool.
There you go. Your patriotic show is done.
Exactly. So you can strip that down and actually create any type of dropped off form that you want.
Well, I feel like this is going to help create some ideas too. You know,
Right.
I know as a drill writer, I think all of us on this call have at some point attempted to write drill in our lives and you know, done so successfully or unsuccessfully. And, you know, there's sometimes where you just get stuck, right? You're just trying to find something. So, you know, this tool right here just almost allows you to experiment and just see what happens, right? And then, you know, maybe that'll spark an idea or something like that.
Exactly.
It's a cool mechanism to get some creativity.
One quick question sort of about that. I know that between you guys at Pyware and, you know, stuff that like Craig Harms has done in the past, are you aware of anybody who's going to essentially create like a sketch library that other people can purchase or download? You know, here's all of these ideas that are sort of available, or has that been discussed at all?
We have discussed that with a couple of different designers. At this point in time, we don't have anything publicly available. But we did have a session with Mitch Rogers, and he created a lot of the libraries that I have listed here. So if you'd like any of those, we can actually share those as well. Just reach out, Dustin@pyware.com, and we can get those sent to you.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
the wedges and the blocks and things like that.
That's great.
So another new thing that I wanted to touch about is actually the new changes to the Stagger Tool. We've heard your requests. I'm going to set up a couple of pods here. 4 steps here. I'll just clone it out linearly. Okay. All right. So now I want to go ahead and actually stagger those pods individually. So I'm going to create a path for all of them. I'm just going to use my track tool to create a curved pathway here. All right. And then I'm going to apply our stagger. We now have the ability here to group by segment. A segment is going to be a group itself, or a grouping. I can come in here and do a step off and have them do, let's say 24 counts for the duration. So once I animate this, since I'm grouping by my segment, it will now actually grab those pods automatically, where previously you'd have to group them individually in lines in the way you wanted them to step off. This gives you the ability to easily do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, for anybody who's tried to animate those things previously, it's an art form for sure, and you guys have now made it significantly easier. So that's great.
And you can identify the lead group by simply clicking on one of the performers in that area, and it'll start peeling it out.
Yeah, it's very clever. It's very cool. Yeah, I was actually playing around with this a little bit, and I was just, honestly, I felt like a little kid because I was just like playing with stuff. I just was like creating stuff on the screen. And I was like, oh, let's see what this does, right? It's another one of those things that actually just lower the barrier to creativity, I feel like.
Right.
Because I think in the past, you know, sometimes I would have those ideas and be like, yeah, you know, I want to do this, but I'm not sure what it's really going to look like, right? So am I going to spend the time to animate this and then find out I don't want to do it?
Right.
But now it's like, why don't I just do it? It's going to take a minute and then I know. So like, I feel like personally, like I write better drill because of it, because I'm able to do these things faster.
Right. That's awesome. I'm glad you're able to play with it like a toy. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, yeah, makes it fun.
The next thing on that is actually you can now stagger by group size. So let's say I have my entire line. I want to stagger every 4 performers. Well, you can now actually do that. You just choose a group size, and what that's going to do is it's going to start peeling them off in that number of performers. So you can actually just take that entire form and easily pot it out.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
and just so our viewers know, do you have tutorials that are available for this? I mean, of course, this video will live on your page and our page, the live version of this, but do you already have some tutorials that show the breakdown of these things?
Yes, we do. We've been doing night schools since the first of the year. If you go to youtube.com/Pyware, that has all of our night schools and master classes there that you can go rewatch as well. And we'll be continuing the night schools coming up in August.
Awesome.
Quick note.
9 p.m.
I see Chad Dempsey said that's a great new tool on here. And Chad is actually one of my high school band directors. And I remember in high school him having the computer out and writing drill on the podium there and changing things. And I bet, Chad, this makes things a lot easier for you.
Right. Wonderful. I've got just 4 more things to run through, and then let's take a look here. We have listened to the users. I want a scatter tool. I want a scatter tool. I want a scatter tool. We have a scatter tool. What we've done is we've built in the scatter function inside the filled shape. Let's say I've got 60 performers. I'm going to define my boundary area that I want them to scatter in between. I'm going to choose scatter. What that's going to do is it's going to randomly scatter these performers in this area. You can actually also define the minimum distance between performers in yards. So let's say I want to have 3 yards distance minimum.
Like 6 feet, for example.
3.2. Let's do this.
Right.
All right. So now I have my scatter with a minimum of 3.2, which is your 6-foot interval. So, and you can just scatter to your heart's content, combine that with the proximity match, and you've got your mesh into and out of a block. See, I've got my 60 performers. I'm going to jump my block down here. Okay, let's say we've got a 6x10. And I'm going to do my proximity match. And we are now collapsing down.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And there we go.
Yeah, once again, that's a huge help. The adjuster tool has been really great for that for a long time, just being able to kind of pull people around. But yeah, this is significantly faster.
It gives you the ability to quickly design different things that you can just play with.
Yeah, because the adjuster tool is like, it's helpful, but you do it once and you're like, yeah, I'm just going to call it there.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a look here at the custom props. Another thing that we've added was the ability to have new custom props that you can have created. These are all going to be available in your software under the Performer Prop tab. We have custom props. Let's say we had someone request an origami crane. So you can see here, you now have that crane that you can actually have in the real view itself. So if you have something specific for your particular show, you can actually show that and give the spatial recognition for it as well. Have performers interact with it. We got a tube cart here. You can request that the custom props available on our website. It's pyware.com/realviewstore. You can also download those through the RealView Asset Store. You come in here, select which item you want. We've got different masks, different types of props, graduation cap we had requested, even a ramp that looks similar to, I believe it was the Tilt Show. So,
what's the weirdest request? Well, actually, maybe don't tell us the weirdest one, but what's some of the more interesting requests that you guys have gotten?
Oh, I've gotten one for a shopping cart. because why not? So just anything that to your heart's content, really. That's probably one of the more unusual ones right now. But we can come up with some unusual things ourselves. I mean, we've got all the different Halloween masks that you can have now. That is available through your hats. So you don't have a sombrero. I've got a bunny head.
And just to plug that a little bit more as far as the customization that you guys offer, certainly there's an option for you guys to maybe customize and create a prop for people. If there's a cost involved, maybe you can let people know, oh, perfect. Actually, it's like a member of 5, like I think you guys have one of those. But you guys also do custom uniforms, is that right?
Yes, we do custom uniforms. We do custom modeled items, custom flags, anything like that. There is a cost associated with that. The pyware.com/RealView store that gives you the ability to upload images, and then if a new prop is needed to be created, we can provide you a quote for that based on the images that you send to us.
That's cool.
Great.
One new thing that we've added into the version 10.0.4, we've currently got a public beta available for, is the ability to lock the horizontal or vertical interval of a form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an arc here, and I want to actually not have one performer in it. I want to lock it to where the horizontal interval is a 2-step interval. I'm going to select my lock horizontal spacing. I'm going to set it to two-step spacing. So now, as you can see, if I spread my arc back, instead of having multiple performers on this, it actually will only include them on the every 2-step mark. This gives you the ability to create those curvilinear forms and lock it to a horizontal grid or a vertical grid, whichever one's going to make it easier for you.
Wow.
It'll be much easier time on locking that form to the grid.
Yeah, that's really, really helpful. Those are the kinds of things that, like, in the course of a rehearsal, you might do. Be like, hey, just go ahead and make this 2 off the yard line, or make it 4. Even though it's 2 1/4,
Right.
but now we can just chart it that way.
So that is available in all of the drawing tools and the morph tool itself. So that's going to make a lot of designers' life much easier.
Yeah, we totally agree.
So, one last thing I'd like to touch on is we've actually added in the new functionality to go with the UDB app for updating drill files.
All right. Yeah, this is one of those, we'll steal your phrase. We listened to you. We listened to our users who've been asking for this since day one. We've wanted it from day one too. It's just, a lot of these things take time and a lot of collaboration, of course, with you, Dustin. So yeah, go ahead into this. We're excited.
So in the UDB app export, we've added the ability to update an existing file. So basically you come in and open the export with your drill file. Here's my new drill file. I'm going to go to my account server here. I'm going to choose update the existing file. I can then come down and select whichever file that I'm going to be replacing. So my from the ashes, I'm going to choose to upload. Going to confirm that it's going to upload and overwrite on the server. And it's as simple as that. And now I have my uploaded drill file, and that is now available on your UDB app.
Dustin, can you go back to that screen real quick, just so we can show our users? So something that is new also inside the screen, which is a huge testament to the work that Dustin and his team have put in, is you'll also see the timestamp, and that corresponds to the timestamp that shows up inside UDB for when that file was either uploaded or updated. So that's a huge helpful feature inside of Pyware now, and sort of brings the integration and the synchronization even closer together. So thank you again, Dustin, for that. I mean, that's really, really helpful. And for those of you who are drill writers who are exporting to UDB, this is now a huge, huge help.
It just makes you able to update those on the fly. Also, I believe if y'all can take over from this, you said that basically it just now seamlessly streams into the drill file and it keeps all of their notes, correct?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's correct.
Yeah. So what we do is when that updating of a drill file comes over, we give the user the option to update the drill. So first and foremost, actually, the user can update or still go into the old drill file, even if they haven't updated to the new file. So that's just kind of like a security precaution thing. So in the event that the user doesn't have internet or something, we don't lock them out of the old drill file. Right. But when they go into their songs, and Josh will show you in just a moment, they can actually click update of a drill file. And all we do is we just replace the drill. So if you've synced sheet music, if you have synced any sort of notes, we actually keep all of that information and we keep it on the same page. So if you took a note on page 4, that note is going to be on page 4 of the new updated drill file. If there's a drill tab where you've synced to your sheet music, that drill tab is also going to arrive on page 4 or wherever you put it. So this is simply updating of the drill. As you can imagine, in a rehearsal setting or even in a post-rehearsal setting, we hear from a lot of our users now, because they're using technology in rehearsal, they'll bring out their computer to rehearsal, right? And they make some adjustments and they'll literally put it in Pyware on the fly and then shoot out that update. So instead of having to go back and hope that you remembered what you did in that rehearsal, you just do it right then and there and send out the update. So, that's one of those things that we've been really excited about for a long time. And I think it kind of shows the true marriage of what we've been able to do now. Like, it seems like we're really hitting our stride with, you can get an idea down in seconds and then you can get it out to everyone in seconds. And I think it's kind of magic is what it feels like to me.
It's awesome.
Well, that helps, especially with that scatter tool, because, we all know when something doesn't work, we just say scatter and get to the point. So you can.
That's the easiest way to clean that set. All right, that thing that used to be a block, go ahead and scatter. Right, go get some water and refresh UDB. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and there's this comment that came in from Marching Experience. Thank you guys for putting this in. We're of course biased, but we of course agree as well. So thanks for chatting that in. And speaking of comments, if you have a comment, if you have a question along the way for Dustin or us, please let us know. Dustin, before we move on, would you be willing to tell us, if someone wants to get version 10, what is the best way to get it, contact you, all the above?
Well, you can reach us any way you want, you can reach us. Website, pyware.com. There's a chat in the lower right-hand corner. If we're awake, we will answer you. Facebook, message us directly, message us private chat to Dustin or Amanda or Barbara Scott. Email, sales@Pyware, Dustin@Pyware, Amanda@Pyware, anything like that. We're happy to help you out. If you have your serial number, you can actually run the upgrade directly yourself, pyware.com/purchase. And it gives you all of your upgrade options for your license.
Cool. Yeah. So if you're watching and you're kind of on the edge, please at least contact those guys, get a demo, play around with this thing. Cause I think as soon as you do, you'll be hooked like I am.
it's a lot of fun.
Good stuff. It's good stuff.
Well, I think the great thing about working with Pyware, and of course, both of these companies, Pyware, UDB, they talk about the great combination is what Luke and Dustin said. There's people that have commented and asked for things, and we listen. We've been able to integrate some of those things together and make things work, and it's been a great partnership. And I think going into what we're about to get more into depth is UDB Pro and what things have asked for, what things we've done, and we're excited to give more detail. So why don't we go into just kind of talking about UDB Pro and the app. So Josh, Luke, you want to start with our first thing here?
Sure. Well, I'll just start with to sort of follow up on what Dustin was just talking about as far as the updating of a drill file, and then I'll go into some other new features. But let's go ahead and pull up my phone screen. And I'm running the latest version of UDBapp Pro, which did launch on July 1 of this year, which Luke, Eddie, and I are extremely excited for it to be live. It has been many years in the making, and we're excited for you all to use it and for for you to give us your feedback on what you like and what things we can add to the list, right? Because that list is ever growing for all of our products. So just to follow up again, we just saw what it was like when Dustin chose to update or overwrite a file. And you'll see over on the right side of the screen is that if a file does have an update, you can just tap on update. It downloads it, and then it just replaces that file. And again, anything that you had previously in that file, whether it's notes or things like the cast list, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, all of that information stays. And other things, for example, like if you've got your sheet music, synced to that file, all of those things still remain. So it's just updating the drill, and it's keeping everything else attached to the pages that you originally had it on. So the process of now getting, multiple versions of an opener or a ballad or whatever it might be, you're now just sort of building on top of that file as opposed to just adding a new file each time. So that's an incredible new feature that sort of starts a little bit about UDBapp Pro. So while I'm in here, I'm just going to sort of go off script real quick and just show you something that's drill related. And that's specifically going to be the cast list. We're familiar with the idea of the cast list inside of Pyware, and it's similarly organized inside UDB. For reference, those two things do not sync together. And the reason being is because we understand how frequently members can change performers inside of a rehearsal. Maybe two color guard people need to switch because of something drill related, or maybe you're filling a hole or whatever it might be. So we want to be able to update the cast list essentially in real time. So as performers sign into a new dot, so today I might be T1, tomorrow I might be T2, we want for the directors to be able to pull up that information and see a running list of that. So I'm going to go into the settings, and when I go to the cast list, you'll see that we can see which person in the ensemble has chosen which performer's dot. And of course, this is helpful. We can organize it and sort and filter by section, first and last name. We can see alternates here. And where we've sort of taken this an additional step further is if I go back into the drill and I go to some of the performers that were selected or who've already been signed in that ensemble, you'll see when I tap on that performer, their name and their picture pop up. And so these updates happen again in real time. So as the students open up the file, then this populates a new and updating cast list for UDB. And then anybody who's signed in as a director can see that information. Cool. So I'm going to sort of go back to some of the other new features inside of UDBapp Pro. And we're first going to talk about one of our more widely requested features, which we're very, very excited to launch, which is the integration of calendar and attendance. So the way that this works is that you can connect UDBapp Pro to a free Google Calendar that anybody can create. And we recommend creating a calendar that's specifically for attendance inside UDBapp Pro, which is, of course, easy and free to do. And you just connect that to your calendar. You connect to your calendar to UDBapp. And then just like you would in any other calendar, you've got access to all of these events. You see that we have a series of test events and things like that. And it just functions much like, an Outlook or an iCal or even a Google Calendar would. But the magic here is that when we create an event, because we want to take attendance, we need to sort of create some smart parameters for how this works. So I'm going to create an event. I'm going to call this full band rehearsal. And then we get to choose the location. And it's going to use the GPS location only when the members sign in and then choose to manually check into rehearsal. So it's not like constantly evaluating their location. So they just check in, and just like in a real life rehearsal, they have to be in a certain place at a certain time. And then you can choose through this geofence, which I'm just updating in real time. You can choose where you want the performers to be. So, okay, that's where I'd like for them to be. And then we're going to choose the invitees. Because this is a full band rehearsal, I'm going to invite the directors, marchers, section leaders, and staff. Now, one of the things that could be really nice about this is that if you have an event that's only for section leaders or an event that's only for percussion, you can go through that and then choose section by section, and each person's calendar is going to be customized for them inside of UDBapp. So we've chosen to invite the full band. And then I'm just going to choose a start and end time, just like you normally would. And if you wanted to have some kind of a recurrent event, you can do that. You can add notes, things like your attire for this day is going to be shorts and ball caps, or don't forget your water, or whatever it might be, right? So I'm creating that event, and you'll see that when I go back and refresh my calendar, I see the event that's been created. And then when I want to be able to access that attendance record, of course, the event is, it's in the future, and this is with a fake ensemble. But I have the option to go into my attendance record and see every event and every student who is invited to that event. So, of course, because students haven't signed into this, I now see a live updating reference of who's been absent, or who is absent, who's tardy, and who's present.
Yeah, and I can jump in here on this, and show you exactly the way that the students actually check into rehearsal. So this is something, when people contact us about this, they want to know a little bit about how this works. But what happens, from a logistical, mechanical standpoint, is the student shows up to rehearsal, and they go into their app, and they go into attendance, and they click a button that says, there's a little check mark, and we're going to show you a video on this. They click that check mark, and then it shows them a list of events that they can actually check into. And then so they click that event, and then that is the single moment that we actually check the location. So we're not looking at location when they're in the app anywhere or any other time, because we do get some of those questions. It's literally just at the moment where they click check in. We check to make sure that they're in that geofence. If they're not inside of that geofence, UDB app does actually not allow them to check in. They must be inside of the geofence for them to be able to check into that rehearsal. So if they're there inside the geofence, we actually timestamp it, and then we put that in the attendance record. So I'm actually going to pull up a quick video here. There's a 45-second video or so that's going to show you this process. So we're going to run this now, and you'll be able to see what it looks like as a student when you check in to rehearsal.
Using the attendance feature inside UDBapp Pro is quick and easy for students. First, on the home screen, click on Calendar. This will show you all of the events that you've been invited to and all of the details for that event. When you're ready to check in, from the home screen, click on Attendance, then click on the check-in icon in the top right corner of the screen. Here, you will see the events that you were invited to. Once you try to check in, if you are not within the geofence specified by the director for the event, you will see this notification. So long as you are within the check-in window and the geofence parameters, you will be able to check in successfully, and your attendance will have been taken and timestamped for verification. On this same screen, you can see your overall attendance record for each event that has taken place to that point.
So you can see it's a very quick process for the student. It takes 5 seconds or so, and then it's marked in there. And then we'll go back to Josh's phone screen, and I'll show you a little bit about that attendance record. And actually, I'll just pull that up there now. But basically, say a student checks in, or they forgot to check in, or something happened to their device that day, you can actually change their attendance record on the fly. So you'll notice on the right side of the screen, you see T and P. It stands for absent, tardy, and present. And what Josh is doing right now is just tapping P, or he's tapping T to make them tardy. So that just updates in real time, and that'll update the student's overall record. They'll see it on their phone. So you've got finite control over what's happening. So in the event that a kid can't check in or something's going wrong, a director can jump in there as well. And then the cool thing, and Josh will jump into this now, is the full attendance record. So looking at a student, kind of from a holistic point of view of like, what's their attendance record for the season?
Yeah. So right now you can see at the very top of the screen, we're looking at the attendance record for that particular event, the one that you just saw me create called Full Band. But if I want to go back and look at the students, in totality, their attendance record, you'll see in the top right corner, there's a little check, or a little clipboard, and I'll tap on that. And you'll now see in this a full attendance record of each student. And you'll see how many times they were absent, how many times they were tardy, and how many times they were present. Now, in this same list, say, for example, you wanted to be able to share somebody's attendance record or export it, whether it's the full band or just a section or just an individual. In the top right corner, you'll see there's an option to export. And this exports a CSV file, and it shows the timestamp for each time that a student checked into a rehearsal and whether they were present, tardy, or absent. So that's calendar and attendance. And of course, we've got some brand new tutorials both on our website as well as on YouTube that we'd love to show you guys further about those things. And of course, Luke or Eddie or myself are happy to talk to you about those things as well. Now, I'll show you one other feature that is part of UDBapp Pro, and that's the first offering from us in something that's called Smart Access. And so I'm just accessing this through our settings, right? And Smart Access is specifically sort of it's going to be a suite of tools that allow you to better manage your rehearsal. And the first thing is something that's called offline mode. So Luke, you want to talk about that, and I'll drive? Sure.
This is another one of those features where I think we have listened to our customers to lead us. I'd say one of the most common questions that we get before people purchase UDBapp for their ensemble is, you know what, I don't know if I really want my kids on their device in rehearsal. Like, is there any way that like I can limit their access? I can like make sure that they're not tweeting about me on the field. And you know, the cool thing is so far is that those people who've had those concerns who have used UDBapp, they come back to say, hey, it's actually not really been a concern. However, we have still built offline mode as the first smart access feature because, you know, we know that for high school band directors like Eddie, who used to be a high school band director, that can mean the difference for them, you know, especially when they want to make sure that the band is focused.
Yeah, we had, I mean, at Hendrickson, we had about 450 band members. So having to keep up with that many on the field at once was definitely a feat. But, you know, we always talk about this and featuring the offline mode. And, you know, like Luke said, a lot of people use it without the offline mode, and they come back and, you know, people that run a great and fast-paced rehearsal, efficient rehearsal, comes back with no problems at all. But this is just that extra little feature that if you have a question or doubt in your head that your kids will be on their phones, this basically takes away that doubt. And again, like Luke said, we've heard from everybody. We've really excited. This is one of the great features that we're happy about. So,
yeah. So the way that it works, much like a calendar, there's a invitees. So when you tap on invitees, you're going to see a list of everybody in the ensemble. Now we separate it by roles, sections, and then you can even get it down to the individual person. So if you want to invite everyone, so to speak, to offline mode, you would just select all of the roles. Or if you want to invite certain section, like we know the alto saxophone section, sometimes they're going to need a little bit of help, you know, right? So we can invite just the alto saxes to offline mode. But in this scenario, let's just go invite everybody to offline mode. And then what we do is we click done, and then we're going to toggle on offline mode by tapping that toggle to the right side of the screen. And then we'll go back to the home screen and we'll tap on UDB to get into our drill file list. Now, what you'll notice when Josh clicks open now, he's trying to open up Movement 5 Update. He's going to get this message that says, hey, you're actually not able to get into the drill until you turn off your internet connection. So what we're doing at this point in time is we're sensing if there's a Wi-Fi connection or cellular connection. And if there is one of those connections, we're not going to let those people who you have invited to offline mode into the drill. Now, if you were to turn off Wi-Fi and if you were to turn off cellular and do those things, then he would be able to actually get into the drill. So Josh is doing that now, turning off Wi-Fi. He's going to go onto airplane mode, and then he can go back up. He can click open. We can see UDBapp is offline, and now he can get into the drill. So this is super cool. What this means that is if your students are looking at the drill, they cannot be on Facebook. They cannot be on Twitter. They cannot be texting each other because they don't have any sort of connection. So you can toggle this on at any time. What we see most programs considering is turning it on like right before rehearsal and then turning it off right before rehearsal. And you can see Josh when he turned his stuff back on and he clicks OK, you'll see what happens here. he's actually going to get kicked out of that drill. So if they toggle on while looking at that drill file, we're going to kick them out of there. So long story short, the cool thing about this feature for us is that we think it's a really cool feature, and we think many directors are going to find this helpful. The flip side of it is that most people that are using UDBapp are contacting us and saying, look, it's really not an issue. Our rehearsals are more efficient. Our kids are excited about using their devices and they want to do these things. So whatever side that you fall on, I think you're going to find that UDB is going to be helpful.
Yeah. And these are all things that we have very short tutorials. I think that we tried to keep almost all of them underneath a minute, and they're available both from the director's standpoint as well as the student standpoint. So those are on our website at ultimatedrillbook.com and also on YouTube.
Well, the great thing going back to both of these things is, first of all, attendance, especially with groups that have a huge band program and a lot of universities as well. I mean, it just saves so much time. I remember having you have your section leaders, your brass captain or woodwind captain, drum majors doing attendance, and then it takes forever for them to do that. And you have to, it takes away their instruction as well. So especially if you start, getting into your warm-up block and you're doing that, and then you move on to something else and they haven't finished, it's just, you want them to be inside engaged, and this is just easier for everybody. And I think one thing that we didn't mention, that you can also actually export that to Excel or a different file. So you can put that into, keep that for your records and print it out. So that's a great tool. So also for grading as well, getting your 6 weeks period in and knowing who's been absent, tardy, or present. So
absolutely. Well, we've kind of hit the end of our hour here, so I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all of you guys in Facebook land, watching on the UDB page, Pyware page, and on YouTube as well. Thank you for joining in and checking this out. And of course, Dustin, thank you so much for joining this. I think it was illuminating for all of us to see some of those new features. And I think we're all just giddy with excitement about
really
a lot.
Excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So please feel free to reach out to any of us. If you want to get in touch with Dustin, we've got his email down there on the screen. Of course, he'll be able to help you, Amanda, Barbara, Scott, the entire Pyware team. They're all amazing. Visit them at pyware.com. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach out to us just in general, support at ultimatedrillbook.com. We can set you up with a demo of UDBapp Pro. Or if you want to reach any of us individually, there's Josh's email address. Eddie is Eddie at Ultimate Drillbook. I am Luke at Ultimate Drillbook. So you get the equation for the email addresses there at this point in time. So please feel free to reach out. And then tomorrow night, actually, we've got a really great session that Josh is going to be moderating. Josh, you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on as we close up?
Yeah. So all week long, we've sort of had we've been fortunate to connect with, at the very beginning of the week, some great designers. Last night, we had an awesome discussion with some high school band directors. Tomorrow night, we're actually going to be focusing on discussing some things with university directors. And so we'll be talking to Matt Stratton, as well as Andre Fagan, both incredible members of the UDB education team. And we'll just sort of be talking about what our plans are from the university level, just because there's the uncertainty that has faced all of the high schools. It's certainly that same way for the college season. So we'll be doing that tomorrow night, the same time, 8 p.m. On the UDB Facebook page and UDB YouTube page. And then on Saturday evening, we're going to be running a recording of Bob Cresty's incredible Midwest clinic from last year, which you do not want to miss. It's really, really, really great stuff. Of course, anybody who knows Bob knows he's just an absolute rock star educator. And this clinic, I was even sitting in it last year, and it's like, you are so smart. He's so good at this stuff. And anyway, so we've got a great recording of that from Midwest last year. And so we'll be running that live at 8 p.m. also on Saturday. So make sure that you tune in for that.
Cool. And sorry to extend this just a little bit. We just had a comment come in from Jeff about how small the geofence can be. It can be about 5 to 10 yards. It depends on how much you zoom in the map and zoom down the geofence. So it can't be too small. The reality about the geofence, though, is that it's actually using GPS. And for a lot of reasons that we cannot control and never will be able to control. GPS can only be accurate within a couple of feet anyway. So GPS is not something that we're able to use publicly as like something where we can track down to the inch. So yes, you could maybe get it down to the room of a building, but I think you're going to find a lot more success if that geofence is a little bit larger, just because there is a margin of error when it comes to geofence. I mean, if you've ever used your GPS in your car, sometimes it thinks you're on the road to the left or the road to your right. We're using that same technology that we unfortunately don't get to control down to the centimeter. So you can get kind of small, but being a little bit bigger will be helpful. And then certainly, Eddie, I want to give you an opportunity. We have this incredible partnership with Perform America Texas about ways that you can actually save on Ultimate Drill Book. So Eddie, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, again, I'm owner of Ultimate Drill Book as well, but Perform America, which is a travel company, and we do a lot of things, of course, educationally as well. We've partnered up with Ultimate Drill Book to offer a discount, and we offer a discount in form of a rebate. So the discount's actually 50% off the app. So you have an opportunity to get that much off the app. And the way you do that is you're able, if you get a proposal from us and you end up traveling with Perform America, we go ahead and we'll give you a discount 50% off each app based on the number of student travelers. So that's been a great tool. A lot of our customers have been beneficial for them, especially with budgets and all, and they know they're going to take an end of the year trip. So it's kind of works hand in hand, and we're happy to provide that for our users.
So in short, get in touch with Dustin, get V10. Get in touch with us. We'd love to get you a demo of UDBapp Pro. And if it's something that you want to move forward with and you actually plan on traveling at all this year, get in touch with Perform America Texas, because you'll actually be able to save 50% off of UDB. So, especially in this increasingly virtual environment, I think all of these tools could be super helpful. So we'll go ahead and end the stream there. Once again, thank you all for joining. Dustin, thank you so much for joining us and for all the incredible work that you guys are doing. And feel free to get in touch, and we will see you again tomorrow night. You guys take care.
Take care.